Yo, welcome back. Episode 16 of Backstage with Oso. As per usual, you're here with myself, Andrew, and
Jake. What up? How are we?
not too bad. How you doing today?
Good, bro, good. I'm caffeinated. I feel good. I feel ready. I'm ready to go, man.
All right, well, let's kick straight in. What's your song of the week this week?
Song of the week this week. So this week's been a pretty gnarly week in music in general, but the standout for me has been the whole Montero album by Lil Nas X.
Yeah.
It's sick. Like, if you guys haven't listened to it already, go check it out. Whether you're a Nas X fan or not, like, I thought Old Town Road was corny shit. I did not like that, but I love this album. So song of the week for me is Lost in the Citadel by Lil Nas X. And to describe the song a little bit, it's like pop punk, hip hop kind of thing. A lot of what we're seeing in the trend lately with Kid Laroi, sort of, not so much Kid Laroi, probably more like Machine Gun Kelly kind of crossover. And man, to me, I grew up listening to pop punk. So for me, this is dope.
Yeah,
so,
100%.
What about yourself, man? What's the song of the week?
Well, this week, I've been tying on it. It's actually a song that was released probably this week. It was on New Music Friday, so I hope it was this week. Well, I spotted it's dropping the ball. But It's by Ian Dior. It's called 12V featuring Little Uzi Vert.
Yep.
To be honest, we had the conversation before we started the podcast. I'm like, when we're asking what each other's favorite song was, and I'm like, yeah, I like this song. And the more I played, I'm like, yeah, I like the beat of the track. I think the words, like the hook's good, but like it definitely could have been better, I think. But yeah, it's still a cool track, and for me, listen,
like the beat's fire. The beat is fire.
The beat's cool. It's like that mood kind of like that happy kind of like hip hop. Like I'm really enjoying. I just like the happy hip hop.
Yeah,
I like happy hip hop, and then I like UK. Like there's no like in between.
There's no divide for you.
It's
It's like the internet money, and then it's drill.
Yeah.
Or it's like
yeah.
Yeah, it's gangster, dude. I like it, dude. But it's cool seeing like what Lil Nas X actually did this last week with everything leading into this album drop. I don't know if you saw it, but his the billboards that he put around the city.
No, I didn't see that.
Oh, dude, they were actually pretty funny. I'm trying to find like an exact one so I can like quote it right now, but they're pretty funny. So one of them was like, he's standing there, for anyone watching, listening rather than watching, he's standing there looking like first day as a lawyer kind of thing.
Yeah.
Standing next to the billboard with a question in big capital letters, gay, question mark. You may be entitled to financial compensation, which is pretty funny. And then it's like,
that's pretty good.
Visit welcome to Montero.com. So
that's pretty sick. I like that.
It's pretty good. He's got the QR codes and stuff like that. And I think he did like 5 or 6 different ones of these. And I was like, that's actually a funny piss take kind of thing because, you know, as a gay artist, man, he is loud and proud and he's standing up for that whole community. So I absolutely, love the album and love everything he's doing in that realm, man.
That's sick. And even from the legal flip side of that, like, I don't know, for those that are listening that maybe haven't been to America, I remember when I was in America, maybe I was 12, 13 years old, watching TV, and every single ad break, there was at least a couple compensation lawyers telling you how much money you can get from this or that. So it's like the massive cop-out. So I'm assuming it's still a big thing over there. So that's pretty cool that they did that.
Man, it's funny you like mentioned like US TV. I remember last trip to the States, man, like watching the ads in Australia, compared to watching the ads in the States, man, like at the end of nearly every single, okay, now I can see why. This ties back into our conversation from earlier, how I was talking about, like, we were having a random conversation about Big Pharma and like companies that obviously do, well, what do you call it? Like pharmaceutical companies, I guess?
Yeah, like pharmaceutical companies.
Like on the ads in the States, now that I think about it, every second ad was a pharmaceutical ad. And then at the end of the ads, it's just like, may cause side effects of blah, 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 brain damage, pregnancy, something. And they have to list every single
like
side
death.
effect.
I'm like, oh, cool, you could die from this.
Yeah, Australia ads don't have that. They have like a little asterisk with T's and C's.
Yeah, which you can't read.
Yeah, which you can't read, whereas the States actually list it. So that's quite interesting. I didn't even think of it like that it actually ties into that whole theme in the States.
It's almost a cop-out on that whole industry as well because... like they obviously get a bad rap, and don't get me wrong, there's obviously a lot of justice that comes out of it because, you know, some people do need to get taken down for some of the stuff they get away with, but a lot of it is just a bit of a cop out, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty funny, man. Like everyone wants to make that quick buck, so it's kind of smart advertising. So I thought that was pretty genius. But yeah, this Lil Nas X album bangs.
100%.
That's my summary. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 and say it bangs.
It's good. I have listened to a few of the tracks, and I very similar to the Ian Dior track that I chose this weekend. I found that the beats are all really cool and such a vibe, and they're all very consistent. Like, they're really well done.
Yeah.
But I think that very similar is like some of the lyrics didn't have as much substance as. And I don't know if that's the industry at the moment. It's just everyone's trying to get that quantity out there so they can compete, because there's so much music coming out that they're like, oh, we can sacrifice a little bit of, the quality for quantity. Or maybe they just legitimately, maybe it's just a thing that I'm not getting.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it could be two things as well. Like, if you're 2 songs off an album, you might have a couple of cutaway tracks and you're just like, all right, sick. Unless
just like chanting Donda or something.
Oh, come on, man. Like, Donda is still the greatest album besides My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. It's sitting there second all the time. So, you're throwing shade at Kanye, man.
Yeah, okay.
So, news this week, bro. What have you seen? What's happening?
Well, first and foremost, Universal Music Group listed on the Amsterdam Stock Exchange. So, which is interesting for a number of reasons, but from my perspective, I have the interest because then you can kind of figure out the valuation of the company by looking at the share price, the
stock, and what it's worth.
Yeah. So according to the current share price, which it hasn't really fluctuated since it launched, so it's around that 25. I think it's 25 euros or 25 USD, approximately somewhere around there. If you equate that to the value of the company, it's worth in excess of $50 billion US, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty
like
wild.
It makes sense because they make a lot of money, but it's like, okay, like one of the big players in the music industry is worth that much money. If they're worth 50 billion, you can only imagine how much revenue they're bringing in every year
to justify that.
Which is crazy. And then you can obviously go down the rabbit hole and talk about how artists don't get paid much, and then these are the guys that are making all the money. But there's two sides to that story, I guess.
Yeah, facts though is quite interesting, man. Like, what do you see? Is it something you think you'd invest in? Can you buy stock in this? Like, what?
No, honestly, I wouldn't. Only because there's a few things going on in the sphere of the music industry right now with regards to like the big, I'll call it monopoly companies. You got your Warner, you got the Universal, like all the big players.
Yeah.
There's been kind of a lot of crackdowns, especially out of the UK, where they're getting their, watchdogs, which for people listening in Australia would be like the ACCC.
What is that?
Oh, like the Australian, what is that? Australian? Oh,
is it consumer law or some shit?
Yeah, it's like the ACCC.
Let's do a quick Google search. While we're in this little Google search.
Australian Competition and Consumer Commission.
Beautiful.
So yeah, they're like the watchdogs that'll go around to the big companies and, if they're doing something wrong. So what happens is, let's say a lot of individuals make their own complaints about a big company. If there's enough little complaints, then the ACCC will go and investigate. And the ACCC is the one that'll fine them and then potentially pay out to the individuals that have been wrong done by.
Yeah, right.
So the UK, I don't know what their watchdog is, but it'd be some sort of equivalent, is basically looking at the big players in the music industry and seeing, hey, do they have too much of a market share? Is there not enough room for the independents to, have a bit of a go?
Yeah.
Which is probably a good thing to keep them in check because, you don't want too many just big players because then, a good example would be if, let's just say in America, if it was just American Airlines flying around.
Yeah.
It's like, then they just dictate the price and what they say goes.
They own it, yeah.
And it's like, and that's where it's going towards. So I think that, with these things like the watchdogs coming in and watching it, there's definitely going to be a lot more emphasis on independent or sub-independent projects under these big labels. So I wouldn't buy the shares at the moment. I'd watch. I think they might take a little bit of a dip when some further news comes out about this. But yeah, we'll watch and see.
This
is not financial advice though. Don't.
No, don't. We're two guys chatting shit.
I'm pretty smart, but
yeah,
no jokes.
I'm highly intellectual and I also talk a lot of shit. So take which one? Take a gamble. I would not take stock advice from me though at all. But speaking of other things, a Spotify rival has popped up. I've heard a little bit of talk about this Audius, which I don't know. We had a bit of a convo off air on this, so I'll let you weigh in on it. But for anyone to even I think the clickbaity title was Spotify rival. I was like, I remember when Tidal happened. Was that Jay-Z that had Tidal?
Oh, yeah, that sounds about right. There was some big figurehead. I can't remember who it was, though.
I think it might have been Jay-Z that did Tidal, and then he was like, yeah, I'm only going to release my album on Tidal. I was like, well, that's a dumb fucking move. But I like the push and how much you believe in the company.
In your own project.
Yeah, to try and get people over there. But yeah, as soon as you compare anything to Spotify right now, I don't think you're going to have that much of a play, especially if you're not changing what the scope of what they already do is. So yeah. What was your thoughts on this? You were talking more on the SoundCloud side.
Yeah, well, I think it's pretty hard to start comparing like Audius to Spotify or even like an Apple Music or something, just because it's just so early. And it's so for those that don't understand what Audius is, it's like a music streaming website. It's all built on like the blockchain, so it's all crypto related, and it's supposed to be like independent. And the idea is that you invest your time into this like website, and you can like own, they call it like the audio token, which is like owning Bitcoin, for example, but it's like owning audio, which is like Audius's token. So like, for example, I was listening to one of their podcasts and they said something about, some of their curators, so the people that are making the playlists on the platform can get paid in this audio token for doing that
as a playlister and as an artist, like directly through
as a
the blockchain?
playlister. But then I think the artist will get paid through the token as well. So the only thing I don't understand yet, because I haven't looked too far into it, is how where does the money, like where does these tokens come from? Yeah, because they like you've got to equate to some sort of value, right? So I don't know where they're actually coming from, but. Yeah, the closer comparison I would actually compare it to is more like a SoundCloud, and which is where they actually compare themselves, like on their website. And if you look into the tracks that are on there, it's a lot of like flips of things. So one of the I think he's a co-founder on Audius, was actually works with Skrillex. Yeah, so he helped found Osler. Yeah. So I think Skrillex released a flip or something on Audius, just like to help them out.
Yeah, I haven't even seen this, so I'm actually keen as to listen. Yeah, we'll check it out after this, because that's gnarly. You got one of the best producers in the world, backing the platform from day one. That's pretty fucking gnarly.
So I think it's more like it's more likely to be the next SoundCloud, where it's all decentralized. People can post, all these flips and edits, and build their following up on there, and then then convert that to real fans. And I hope that that definitely is what they're trying to do from what I can see. And I hope that becomes a reality, because it's like SoundCloud was such a big part in so many artists' careers a couple of years ago, and there really isn't anything at the moment to actually.
It's such a gap in the market, especially as an upcoming producer. And like the thing to do when you're an upcoming producer or a DJ is releasing edits of your favorite songs and stuff like that. Yeah. And well, that got all deplatformed basically, because copyright and stuff like that. If you're a artist that's ever tried to upload on SoundCloud, you'd know you get flagged for copyright straight away.
Skip 30 seconds to hear the track, or de-pitch it, or
honestly, like it's like unmotivating. Like you can do like the coolest edit in the world for your sets and stuff like that. And I do this, and then I just never upload it, and I just play it in my sets, because I'm like, it's not even worth the fuck around by the time you get the artwork, and then you set up the fan gates, and then if you do playlisting or you do some kind of hype edit push to get on charts, and then like 3 days in, it might get flagged for copyright. So it's like, why the fuck did I bother doing all this stuff? It's very unmotivating as a producer. 100%.
So I hope the Audius is able to kind of bring all the parties together in this decentralized way, where J-Dub can upload a remix or a bootleg rather of the new Swedish House Mafia song. J-Dub's able to benefit because people can download the track and then have to follow him or whatever. But then Swedish House Mafia is able to benefit because they get audio tokens for each person that downloads it, or audio tokens for each person that listens to it. So then everyone kind of benefits from it.
See, that'd be elite.
And that's where there's no reason it can't get to that stage.
Yeah.
Because SoundCloud was so big for so long, and everyone was turning a blind eye to it because it was like extra publicity for them.
Yeah.
And some people were actually their originals were blowing up because people made remixes of them. They weren't anything before the remix.
It's pretty crazy, and especially in this TikTok generation where, I see these people like flipping these songs on TikTok. Like they'll do like a, what if Avicii made, I don't know, fucking 24Ks fucking and they'll do like a relevant like sort of reference kind of thing, and it's cool. It's a cool 30 seconds, but some I listen to, I'm like, oh shit, that's a cool flip. And it's like, where can I download that? And it's like, they made it for a 20-second TikTok, because why the fuck would you even bother trying to upload that to SoundCloud?
Actually, it's funny you said that. I literally this week I feel bad because I should remember the guy's name. It's started with an M. I found him on TikTok, and he's been making like drill versions of songs.
Oh god!
So he made a drill version of "Beat It" by Michael Jackson.
Oh,
and made it like 30 seconds. I'm like, oh, this is actually kind of fun.
This goes hard. Yeah.
So and then he had it and then he linked it to his SoundCloud. So I literally downloaded it and I've played it like 3 times in the club.
Oh shit!
Because I'm like, this is actually cool. Like it's different.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about it was like SoundCloud back in the day. Not everyone has it because it's not something that's like easy to find. And that's what I used to take pride in with my DJ sets was going through, hours and hours of SoundCloud, finding these cool, unique tracks, downloading them, people being like, oh crap, like where's that from? Like
exactly. I remember like as a DJ, like just going on and you'd write, I don't know, just say like a new song like Lost in the Citadel remix. And then you go through like 10 different versions of like, sure, half of them were fucking crap, but you might find that one fire one that everyone on just digital music pool or whatever pool like they use doesn't have. And then I was like, whoa, where'd you get that? I miss that about DJing, and I sound like back in my day, but honestly, like I miss that side
hopefully
of it.
Audius is the new
Hopefully. Like Chainsmokers are invested in it, Pusha T, I think Disclosure are invested. Like there's a few key players in the industry invested, and especially if like Skrillex's dudes like there too. Like
exactly.
Game on.
It'd be interesting. Yeah, so go check it out, Audius. Just type it in Google. They've got their own Discord server. You can jump on. You can look at you can look into the tokens. They have like a white paper on the actual back end of the cryptoverse, what happens in the back end of the platform and the token. But I'm looking into it a lot at the moment. So
I might
even buy a little bit. We'll see what happens.
Oh, let's go, man.
To the moon.
To the moon, baby. Let's go audio.
And on that topic, another thing in the whole rights and how things are starting to move forward in the industry is there's been talks with the owners of Twitch. So I think it's Amazon actually owns Twitch, and they bought them recently or semi-recently. So those that
Bezos.
Bezos. So those that don't know Twitch, it's like an online live streaming platform. It's probably, I think it still is the biggest in the world.
Yeah.
People play games. People just chat on there. People, do all sorts of stuff on there. But one of the issues from my perspective was that people couldn't play music in the background of their stream, so they'd be gaming, but they literally can't have anything in the background, or they only have to have copyright-free music because they'd never had any deals with the major labels. So, if they did start playing big tracks, then they'd basically just get flagged. So now there's been talks between Twitch and some of the big publishing companies in the world to incorporate some sort of opt-in system where the big labels that own all the rights to the records can choose to allow the streamers to play the music. I'm not sure whether or not they'll receive compensation for that or not, but regardless, it's an awesome platform for the big labels to get music heard, because some of the streamers are getting like hundreds of thousands of people watching them just play a game. And if your song's in the background, like 100,000 people, even if 0.01% of them or 1% of them listened to that track and was like, oh, let me Shazam that. That was pretty cool.
Exactly.
Like, that's a whole new audience that you never had.
Dude, that's huge. And like we've seen it before. People blow up from people streaming their track in the background that might have been an independent release, and they just let it go.
Yeah.
And then it's like, holy shit. Like, then they're like, I got like 4 million streams on this song or something from this, and it's just like, what the heck? Like, that's actually insane. So it's going to be interesting, like how they go with, I guess like on the money way of like just actually
how to split or whatever. Yeah,
because I know like streamers get paid by donation tips.
Yes, so streamers can get paid by donations, and they get you can subscribe to them, which means they get a monthly fee from you. Then they can also play ads, which a lot of them don't.
Do they have ads?
Yeah, so if you're a streamer, I think you have to be at a certain level, have to have a certain amount of viewers. You can play an ad, and then you get a certain amount of revenue from that ad from the people that are watching. But it's like super low. Like it's to the point where most people won't even play an ad now because it's not even worth like pissing off the people watching.
Yeah, because then you're a sellout.
Yeah, kind of. So like. That's the harder thing is who's going to pay for the rights to have it.
Yeah.
To be fair, like it honestly might even be beneficial just for Twitch to pay a yearly subscription or whatever to get these rights, just because then they're the only platform that has these rights. Everyone that's on all these up and coming live streaming platforms are all going to start streaming on Twitch, because then they can play music in the background.
Yeah, because then it can be cool.
And they just dominate it again. Because they were dominating until, a few of the big streamers left to like YouTube and stuff, but they'll probably redominate again. So
It's pretty interesting, man. I'd love to know like how much money is all tied up in that side of it. But that's full on, man.
Yeah. What else is going on in the news, Jake?
Well, as one who is very, very unsettled in Australia right now, like we're on the Gold Coast, so I'm not pissing and moaning. Like we are pretty fortunate that.
God, you complain a lot.
Like we are pretty fortunate right now here on the Gold Coast that things are opening up to an extent. Feeling for my friends down in Sydney, Melbourne especially. Like right now, Melbourne's like making international news with riots and
They had an earthquake this morning as well.
And they had an earthquake this morning, man.
Crazy.
Like the world is, I wonder if the housing market price will drop now. I'm not sure.
Too early to say that.
Off topic, but anyway. So that's how my brain works. But so as someone who's always looking into the rest of the world, stay motivated. Los Angeles has always been a massive focus of mine. And even when we spoke last week with Kai, LA for him as well. And it was quite interesting that this week that they actually said that all the nightclubs and bars as of October 7th this year will require a vaccine passport for everyone. So
that's actually the date I get my second dose as well. So
is
see
it?
you in LA.
Well, yeah, but you're booted up some. But yeah, it's quite interesting. So it's like basically because of the Delta variant that's came through and all the massive influx again, because I don't know, the states look like the Wild West from where we're sitting here in Australia, and it's kind of just been like, all right, cool, it's here, let's go. And I kind of wish Australia adapted that mentality in a way, but I don't want to go political. But anyway, so basically they're sort of, you're either going to have to be like fully vaxxed or at least have one type of vaccine to go into bars and clubs in Los Angeles and outdoor events, or test negative to COVID 72 hours before.
Yeah.
So
seems like the whole world's moving that way at the moment.
Like I'd hate to be in it. Like realistically, looking at anti-vaxxers, like obviously you and I are both had our first vaccine because we want to be able to move around, and it's looking like it's going to be the new normal. And I'm on board. Like shit, drinking alcohol on the weekend I think is worse for you than this vaccine. No one's microchipping. No one gives a fuck where you're going. Like I like that people get all like antsy about that dumb shit. But
the theories are pretty funny to read sometimes, though. To be fair.
Yeah, they're quite fun, man. Yeah. But like even looking like the UK government this week as well is looking at the vaccine passport again as well, because like they sort of like opened all up again, and now they're looking at all the outbreaks again, obviously because they opened up, and they're looking to like mandate that again as well. So I think it's just going to become a worldwide thing, and if you're not vaxxed, get vaxxed, please, so we can get back to some normality, because I'm losing my mind like a lot of other artists around the world right now too, and every industry for that, not just artists, like everyone's
kind of just getting over it.
Yeah, everyone's feeling it, I think.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks, but I don't know. It definitely seems that way. I just hope that once we hit those, figures of 70, 80, 90% or whatever it is, that they actually do open it up, because otherwise it's just, you see in Melbourne, and I feel for those guys because they were, given these targets, and everyone in the music industry down in Melbourne was telling people to get vaccinated so they can hit these targets. And then they're about to hit them, and they're like, oh yeah, so we can only have like 5 people or 10 people, or we can have 10 people, or we can have 100 people in a venue. It's like, I can't make money in my venue with 100 people.
No.
So we just did all that for the government and got slapped in return. This is, I don't know. It is what it is. Hopefully they pick it up soon. I think a lot of people are going to be leaving Australia after this just because of the way the government's handled it. And I think there's going to be a lot of backlash for the next couple of years over this.
Yeah, I think it's definitely not dealt how I would deal with it. But also I'm coming from the perspective of someone who has lost nearly entirely their whole source of income and prospects of a career over this last 18 months. But we're still working, we're still grinding, we're still getting shit done. When it opens back up, we got to stay positive, man. So on a lighter note, there has been a new Swedish House Mafia collab announced.
All right. What's going on?
It's not the Weekend collab that everyone's talking about. It's with IKEA. So I think is
Love
IKEA
it.
Swedish? I think it's Swedish.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's Swedish.
Yeah, they got all the kooky names for all the furniture.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's pretty funny. But they're actually collaborating and doing like a studio desk kind of studio setup. Swedish House
Okay, that's
Mafia.
actually pretty cool. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I'm very interested because any producers out there that have ever looked into professional studio desks and stuff
Yeah.
like that, getting it weighted and like there's so many different aspects that go into like a legitimate studio desk and stuff like that. So I'm very curious to see how they come up because they can be quite expensive. And like,
Yeah.
I know when I like started producing, I started on an IKEA desk that I built on another section. And like
Yeah.
my first desk was like 5 parts of IKEA furniture screwed and drilled together to try and make this thing. And it was pretty gnarly actually. It was actually pretty good. So yeah, I'm actually keen to see what a proper engineered one from
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
hopefully they design a few different levels, like or different tiers of them, so that there's the entry level cheaper option for people that are just getting started as well.
Yeah, hopefully there'll be like I guess like a basic module with
Yeah.
room to add on and room to
Yeah,
improve.
that'd be cool.
And then like hardware racks and stuff like that. Like, yeah, I think it'd be pretty gnarly. But yeah, I do love seeing people's creativity and when it comes to this sort of stuff. So yeah, it's going to be pretty cool, I reckon.
Interesting to see.
Yeah.
And on some other lighter news, this week there's been more talks about Tomorrowland for 2022 extending for a third weekend. Now, Tomorrowland historically is over 2 weekends, so
Yeah.
purely because of COVID and everything and trying to recoup losses that they've incurred because of COVID, they're trying to extend it to a third weekend, and they've been pretty open about that, and that's the reason why they're doing it.
Completely fair. I'd want to recoup as well.
Exactly, and what actually intrigued me about it was, I thought maybe it was the government that might be pushing back on it, but it's not. It's actually trying to convince the locals to allow them to do it for a third weekend, because if you haven't been to Tomorrowland, the whole city basically becomes Tomorrowland for those weekends and during the week, and all the roads are kind of half shut down because you've got all the artists and all the people coming to the festival coming in and out, and then you walk from the festival camping grounds to the local shopping
Precinct
Woolworths or whatever,
yeah.
precinct, but it's not like it's a massive Woolworths or a Walmart for those in the US. It's like a metro version, so like 1/10 of the size, and you've got like thousands of people going there every day. So like they're just getting hammered.
They're making bank.
Making bank over the. So this is the divide. So the locals do really well because they all Airbnb. Well, for the most part, Airbnb their houses out and also their lawns for people to camp on. Like it's pretty crazy. But then it's also 3 weekends of your year that you have to basically vacate your house.
Yeah.
And then also go somewhere else and pay for that. So I can kind of get why the locals might push back on it. But, it's one of those things where hopefully help out the festival so that it continues every other year. And then, you reap the benefits.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Hopefully, like, even if they only did it for, is it 2 years or something just to catch up? And
Well, they said they only plan to do it just this
Only
one year.
for one?
The third weekend, yeah. Just because they said something like one of the years there was a 5 million euro loss, and the other year was like a 20 million euro loss, which I actually thought wasn't that bad because they make I'm one of those guys where I'll go into a theater and I'll know how much my ticket price was and calculate how much money they're making for this performance. I'm just a numbers person. So,
I like that. Yeah.
So when I went to Tomorrowland, I did the figures and conservatively there's hundreds of $1 million going around the place. So that's
so
why
a 20 mil loss isn't that
that's
much.
why I saw. I was like, oh, maybe. But in saying that, maybe they've tried to keep their staff on and be good to their staff and not lay them off. So that's why they've got all these. I don't know. Who knows? But yeah.
Because even on a smaller scale, you see festivals have a full-time team even while there's nothing going on right now. Like they still have to employ a full-time staff team. So yeah, pretty scary stuff, man.
Crazy.
Yeah, hopefully it goes ahead because that's like another whole weekend of income for artists as well as management. Everyone benefits from that. So.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So hopefully it goes ahead for everyone's sake. But yeah, we'll see. Time will tell.
Time will tell, man. Another interesting little collab this week.
What's happening?
So, you may know, if anyone's been following the podcast for a while, I ordered this thing from Mattel Creations, which is it's a scale Tesla truck. Still hasn't arrived, but anyway, Mattel's moved on. I haven't. And they've actually gone, so Mattel make Barbie, and they make a bunch of other toy products and stuff like
Also,
that.
apparently scam their customers.
Yeah, and apparently, they're holding out on my Tesla truck, so waiting. But anyway, so Barbie actually launched a music producer doll to empower the next generation of female artists. So
That's cool.
yeah, it's a pretty cool drop. Like, if you ask me, like, it makes sense. It's cool. Like, I think it really falls into the Barbie brand as well as, like, you know, unlimited potential and unlimited opportunities for and empowering women. And I like the message behind it.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
yeah, so I thought that was a pretty cool one. It was a little cool one. What about you, man? What else have you seen that come across the headlines?
Actually, pretty crazy thing I saw this week, which I literally had the thought of it like a week or two before. So classic reading my mind situation. So for those that are football fans, like football as in soccer, not football as in like rugby or anything else, but
Pass the Steeden.
yeah. So soccer fans, UK football club that's in the Premier League, the name is Wolves, has just announced that they're creating a record label and they're going to distribute through Warner. So they're basically collaborating with Warner to do it.
Hectic, yeah.
And so the whole idea behind it is they've got such a big fan base. It was like, you know, millions of people follow them on all their platforms. They've obviously got everyone coming to the games. They've obviously got the games that are on, you know, Fox Sport and like out everywhere.
Massive television coverage.
Yeah, massive television coverage. So they've gone, oh, you know, like what else can we do? And they're like, oh, let's start Wolves. I think it's called Wolves Records or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the whole idea is to bring awareness to. I think they say they're accepting submissions for, you know, local, national, and international people. But I think the whole idea is to kind of support, you know, local first and then kind of see where it goes.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing is, and what they've, you know, suggested is going to happen is they're going to obviously get their artists, sign their artists, you know, push their music out to all their fans on all their social media pages, which are like football, soccer social media pages.
Yep.
But they're also, you know, going to promote them in the stadium. So they'll probably have signs of them or whatever on the stadium for their releases. But then they'll also play their music in the stadiums, you know, during the game.
That's pretty big, man. Yeah.
Then they'll probably have them perform like at halftime or at the start of the game or at the end of the game or whatever as well.
Damn.
And like, think about that as well. Like, I didn't even think about this until I'm talking right now.
This is something I didn't think of either, because you can essentially create that into a concert performance.
Well, yeah, literally. It's like, literally, they're like, we've got the stadium, so we don't have to pay anyone to use the stadium.
They're already here.
We put them in the middle.
Yeah.
And there we go, there's the concert.
Shit, you can break some artists that way, man. That's pretty huge.
So this is the crazy thing. It's like, well, you know, there's tens of thousands of people just in the game, let alone watching from home.
Yeah.
Listening to you play your song at halftime or whatever.
Damn.
You're probably going to gain a little bit of fan coverage from just that. And that's a big
100%.
Kickstarter, opposed to, you know, going with maybe another independent label that's, you know, just starting, you know, has maybe a little office somewhere. It's like you're literally in a stadium straight off the bat.
Especially in like people like tie like music and stuff like that to a feeling and stuff like that. And if you tie that song then to that feeling that you felt when you were at that, I don't know, World Cup game.
Yeah.
I don't follow football, so
Yeah.
apologies. But yeah, like if you tie that feeling together and then it's all playlisted, even the playlisting alone, I'm sure they'd have millions and millions of followers on playlisting alone. So
Yeah, 100%.
yeah, that's breakthrough enough, man. So it makes sense. Make the money on the other end of it as well.
I mean, and the other thing that to consider as well is, you know, if you're an artist and you know you sign to these guys and you have your song performance at halftime, hey, maybe one of the players is like, oh, that was the sick song, adds it to their playlist, or you know takes a video, or your song's playing in the background while they're taking a video at the stadium. Then all of a sudden you've got all their fans as well, and all these players have lots of, you know, their own fan bases. So there's a lot of opportunity for growth just off that basis. So it's, you know, and the other thing that I watched recently, which is very, very similar along the lines to it, was basically a guy explaining why his company sponsored a football stadium and a team. And it was the whole idea of, you know, it wasn't because they weren't in the Premier League, so they're a league down, so it's a bit cheaper, but, you know, just having the signage and everything around the stadium, just in case, like, not, this isn't the only reason, but one of the benefits is just in case there's that insane goal, one in a million goal that gets scored, and your logo's in the background, because that's happened in the past. Now imagine your Spotify Save Me With You sitting there like this in the background, and someone just scores some insane bicycle, and it goes viral on, you know, Facebook and YouTube. And see, there's so many opportunities, you know, out of it that you just like you don't initially think of.
100%. Like just even looking at Lil Nas X, like hiring all the billboards and all around.
Yeah.
If you got like the stadium putting you
Free
on all the billboards, let's go. Like that's that's pretty full on, man.
Pretty interesting.
That is cool. On the football soccer note as well, FIFA 2022.
Yeah.
They've announced the soundtrack. So
Yes,
it's pretty cool to see. It's got like, you know, like your Martin Garrix's, Area 21. There's a bunch. Oh, that's Martin Garrix again. But there's
that's how much he's dominating the market.
yeah, Swedish House Mafia, and really cool note on this is the Aussie duo Chumba. They have a track on there as well. So it's pretty interesting how FIFA has kind of done it, and they've sort of got essentially representatives, artists from each of the countries where the game is played. And
true, okay.
I think they've contributed a certain amount of songs from each country.
That's cool.
Which is pretty cool. So that kind of, spreads it out. So
yeah, I like that. That sounds cool.
Yeah, it's quite a cool, like, that'd be like a sync deal, basically.
I presume it'd be classified as a sync deal, syncing it to the game. But like it and on the note of like sync deals, like it's an interesting game. I'm going to call it a game because it's almost is, because a lot of these major labels will just get hit up and it'll just be their catalog, and it's really hard to get onto those sort of things. So I think you'll find that like a lot of those guys will be signed to probably the same label or, have the connections. But I'm hoping in the future it's a lot more independent artists that get featured on these kind of up and coming games, because the publicity from being on a FIFA game is just incredible. Like, so
the stream's going up, everything's going up.
Yeah,
and people are enjoying it. It's like, it's funny because you even see memes recirculate like years later. I think it was what was it, Need for Speed Underground 2, which had that soundtrack where everyone was just like, I think the song's Riders in the Storm. It's like burnt into my brain because it was like the song that comes on when you open the game.
Yeah.
And every time I hear that, I think of like childhood and playing Need for Speed Underground. And it's just like, man, like these games, and especially with the generation we're in, it really has a solid impact.
Curates their like future.
It's pretty crazy, man. Like,
stars,
so that is fucking huge if you're getting a sync deal like that on a popular, and it's a popular game. It's not just
it's not just some throwaway game.
It's pretty unique. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Madness. So good to see Aussie 100%. Lads on there getting it
and
done.
News out of the way. What's going on in your week? What can we look forward to? What's happening? I probably know most of the things, but
that's a very good question, Andrew.
Finish the track,
Okay. So I have been working on. I actually put up on my Instagram, just as a post the other day, I did a remix of Kanye West, the GOAT, his track Jail, and I just did it purely to play at my show in Toowoomba, and like Andy just filmed it on his iPhone, and we threw it up, and it's one of the highest engaging pieces of content I've ever put up. Like, I was dicking around. I didn't even finish it. I went back into the project, and the kicks weren't even all the same. Like, I used, like, the first half of the drop was a certain kick. Halfway through the drop, it was, like, the other kick. It's like I can see where I started the track and where I, like, pushed off. So it's pretty funny that all shit aside, like, I made it, like, good enough to play out, and it sounded good in the system. And I wasn't expecting anything from it. And we put it up, and it got, like, over 100+ comments on it, a lot of likes, a lot of interaction, a lot of people saying, release this. And I was like, to fall back into that conversation we were having earlier, there's no point in me putting it on SoundCloud because it's going to get flagged straight away. And then you said, like, make it an original then. And I was just like, but it's a bootleg. But then it's like, no, fuck it. All right, we'll spend some time making it an original. And that's been really the focus this week, is making, or the last 2 weeks actually, has been making into an original. And it's coming along pretty well. I think it's at like it's probably just in the final stages now where I obsess and do that thing where I overproduce just before I get it to mix and master.
Yeah.
So, and I'm mixing and mastering all my own stuff at the moment as well. So I do tend to spend a little bit too much time in that process. But that one's going well. And gigs at the moment, Cali Beach Club on this Sunday. So very keen for that. It's a brand new venue in Surfers Paradise, which is like a Vegas-esque type of pool. So it's like a big pool party, outdoor day club. Yeah, I think that's going to be gnarly. So very grateful to be playing there in the height of the Gold Coast climate. So I'm super excited for that, man. And other than that, just working away. We're still always doing things with 17 Online. Also,
actually got a sound pack coming out next week, Wednesday.
Yes, sir. Next week,
Wednesday. So we'll have the guest, will be on the podcast next Wednesday, and then we'll release it that Wednesday as well.
Yeah, this one is epic. He's got this artist has got signings on Monster Cat, Spinning,
Musical Freedom.
Like he's international, he's not Australian, so
Yeah, he's a sick guy as well. His production's different and like sick.
Yeah, he's very unique. Like we jumped on a Zoom call with him a little while back and just chatting to him, and I was picking his brain about a few production things, and I was like, man, this kid is switched on.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's going to be a super interesting one, especially for the producers who listen on here. I want to go in and pick his brain a bit on production, and then no doubt Andy will be able to pick away the other side of things, labels, signings, deals, everything else, because he's definitely on the one to watch right now.
Yeah, definitely.
So what about you, man? What about personal?
What am I doing this week?
Yeah, what are you doing?
Great question. Well, like from a non-business perspective, I've just been like reassessing like my gym routine and stuff like that, and just trying to figure out where like what my goals are and where I want to go. And I've been like on this like kind of like fence line where I'm like, oh, do I want to bulk up or do I want to shred down?
I think that's every guy's doing in the world. Yep.
So I'm like, so I'm working through just stuff like that. But from a business perspective, we've been working through that business proposal that we're doing at the moment. So
yes, sir.
For those that don't know, we consult for venues and kind of provide, a booking kind of service where we essentially talent buy for them. So we'll, scout the market, see what acts are going to work for their club, and then, negotiate and kind of book them and work on the logistics and that sort of thing of it as well. So we do that for a few venues, and working on, obtaining a few more venues and just kind of building up a portfolio, and also do a bit of social stuff as well.
Yeah, also like all the social marketing for some venues, also asset creation and implementation. And it's something we're both really passionate about, because in the music space, like I like to think we know what we're talking about. So it's quite good, man. I really enjoy doing this aspect of the business. So we always got that ticking away in the background, and in between everything else of trying to be an artist and a manager. And it's
exciting.
It's good, man. It's good.
And besides that, just been working on one of the other artists we manage, Riley Ellis, finished a track. So just working on pitching that out and figuring out what the best plan of attack is with regards to release. It's quite a unique track. So it's down tempo. I think it's 85 BPM, but it's not like trap. It's almost like 85, like
it's kind of like a not res, but more like a zoo.
Kind of like a zoo vibe. So the hard part about things like music that's different is that labels are very curated and want to follow a very particular pattern, which like makes sense because you've got an audience.
Yeah.
And that's just for people in general, like listening to similar stuff. So as soon as you throw something else, they don't like it until everyone else does.
Yeah.
So it's, we're trying to curate this audience that doesn't currently exist because it's not a thing, where if we can pull it off, it'll be really good. But we're just kind of working through that, which is its own challenge and beast in itself. But it keeps things exciting.
Definitely, man. Like it's cool, because I think that's one thing as an artist that I've kind of struggled with is every time I have like this creative burst and I start going in a different direction and stuff like that, it's like you get so far into it, but then I'm the sort of person who picks up inspiration from everywhere.
Yeah.
And then you start like tying in all these things that like deviate off the path of like, say, okay, this is big room. Then all of a sudden it's more like a little bit this, like it's a little bit more like G housey or something like that. But then it has some hip hop elements, and it's like when you're combining all these genres and stuff like that, and it's not a clear direction. Yeah, like creatively it's cool as fuck, but I find like a lot of my stuff probably doesn't get signed in the beginning because it wasn't sitting in a lane. So it's been a really good like kind of like self reflection, like looking at everything over the last 6 months and looking at the structure of some of these labels and stuff like that, and being like, oh, okay, like my thing is too unique or too different or too left field from what they're signing, so why would they sign it? And it's kind of like, makes sense. So I probably just went off on my own tangent there, but I was just trying to relate it back to
no, it all makes sense.
Brain.
And that's why we've released a few things independently, is because we know it doesn't fit in a lane, and we think, if we promote it correctly, we can build a little audience around it. So it's like we'll just
and
do
we
that.
still think it's dope. Like it's dope. So
Yeah, we're not releasing crap.
Yeah, exactly, man. So Yeah, that was pretty much, I think, everything I had to talk about, bro.
It's a pretty good episode 16 if you ask me.
Yeah, that was coming in fire with some news. So
Yeah, so obviously next week we'll have a guest. Should we say who it is or not?
yeah, let's get them familiar.
Okay, so if you want to check him out on all socials, his artist name is Danny Leax, so DANNY LEAX. So he's from Spain, and he is an insane producer.
Yeah.
His vocal chops are insane. So check this guy out.
Man, I want to steal all these processing chains. This dude is dialed in. So
Yeah.
I'm super excited to have a chat with him. You know, I think also if you're a producer, reach out to us. Like, give us some production questions as well. Just on our @17online on Instagram, just DM us and just be like, hey, I'd like to know how blah, blah, blah does this compression or this kind of thing. And, you know, these are questions that, you know, we're in that unique position where I'm grateful that we can ask the artists these things directly. So if you guys have a question, hit us up in the DM and, we can relay these questions and get some answers for you.
Yeah,
So,
100%. Well, we'll see you next week then.
beautiful. Till next week. Backstage with Oso.
Zaijian.